So we had a window of opportunity, which I took really quickly. I'm sitting with Debbie Vandekan. Debbie was about to get on a plane, or on Monday actually getting on a plane for Europe for a number of months. So I invited Debbie to sit with us and just tell her story, if you don't mind. Debbie, thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much, Trevor, and thank you for the opportunity.
Great stuff. So I wanted to set this up for a couple of reasons. Debbie and I have been working together on and off a lot over, a number of years now. And two sides to it is, Debbie's a cash flow specialist, and obviously cash flow is something close to the heart of every business owner out there. But importantly, Debbie's also been building a business that is not only profitable, but a business that is now working without her, which is actually the kind of dream for a lot of business owners out there, to actually get the business into a point that it's working outside of you. So I also wanted to pick your brain a little bit about that and possibly get some ideas for other people on what's helped you make that happen. So thanks for sharing your time and your insight with us, Debbie.
It's a pleasure.
So kicking off, maybe instead of me introducing the business, do you mind do a proper job and introduce yourself and the business and a bit more about what you do?
So for those of you who know me, it's Debbie Vandekan, or a lot of you know me as Debbie Jones. Many of my clients know me as Debbie Jones. I married 3 years ago, so Jones is still the easiest way to sort of remember me. 3 Peaks, been around for 35 years. In actual fact, August this year, we celebrate our 35th year. I've been part of the business for just over 20 odd years now. And what's been really interesting for me on our client relationships is working with business owners on their cash flow, like you mentioned, but cash flow in the sense of collecting current work and trying to ensure via debit order that you actually bring your money in when you want it to come in, and not put the power into your client's hands. We also do net pays. We do salaries, wages, and commissions. We work a lot with the payroll entities, and then we do debt collection. So whether it's current or whether it's bad debt, as we call it, we work closely with business owners, and we try and streamline that so that it allows the business owner to get out there and do what they do best.
Brilliant, yeah. I like to think of you as a cash flow guru, so I often send clients to Debbie and say do a couple of consults with you and just see, because there's so many different ways of helping in cash flow.
Absolutely.
And that's such an important area to master around that. So I want to test your memory. When did we first met?
We met in the year 2000, I think it was, and started our journey together. And yeah, I was looking for someone to really be accountable to in business. Business is a lonely road. And I was just looking for someone to be accountable to, that I could actually sort of sit down regularly, bounce ideas. And you and I bumped into each other at an event and walked the journey together.
Yeah, so exactly that. Yeah, 14 years. Absolutely. I was laughing earlier because I was thinking where I'd just come back from our head office in the States in 2009, did my business coach certification, looking for my first couple of clients. And then we met. You had quite a reputation back then as being one of the sort of stalwarts in the local business community, and so many people spoke so highly of you. I thought I'd cut my teeth on some sort of baby businesses first, so I kind of went straight into the lion's den, coaching already a good business, and somebody who knew her stuff really well. So it was a great. So thanks for trusting me all those years ago as your business coach. Has been a great journey working with you and your team over the years, and where you got the business to now is quite amazing. So let's stick with cash and cash flow for a little bit, because a lot of people don't really understand. And I know you do all sorts of products, as you said. We've always known you primarily, probably 80% of the work you do for me, because those of you that don't know, I actually became a client of Debbie's, I think a year into our coaching. As
Absolutely.
I learned more about how you help with cash flow, we realized we needed you helping on our side. So you've been collecting our monthly retainers from our clients for 12, 13 years now. So let's start with debit orders. Tell us a little bit about debit orders, why you started doing that, and how 3 Peaks does that differently.
Thank you. What was interesting when I was in banking for quite some years. And at the time, banking was really all about collection of money, but really much from a corporate. So your newer business owners, 1 year, 2 year, even 5 years, that was not easy to get a debit order facility those days. And one of my main goals was always to just get out there and make a difference with business owners. But the challenge at the end of the day is we landed up losing. I worked in the sales environment, and I was in the marketing team. And we were always trying to find out why clients couldn't get facilities. So a big core of what I focused on then was getting out there and making a difference. But it became tougher and tougher because the bank was not geared to assist the smaller businesses. So I left banking eventually and managed to get the process set up. Internet became the big thing, the year 2000, when computers were going to crash and all these good things were going to happen. And we just got out there, and I needed to obviously be open to banking, and I resigned and I left. And since then, I was able to build relationships with business owners, whether they were small with 1 or 2 clients or whether they were large corporate, it made no difference. But the core became focus on their cash flow and let's streamline, because the biggest failure in business most of the time is cash flow. And it sounds so simple that you can manage it yourself, but generally you've got a debtor or a customer at the end of the line who's controlling you or powering over you as well. So I've been able to make a big difference with a team behind me. I always say your success is your team. And we've been able to really get out there and just guide or teach business owners how to take back the power of their cash flow.
Okay. Because obviously there's some people that use debit orders a lot. Other people don't even know the power of debit orders and how that can help their business. Give me a range of the type of people you collect debit orders for, as well as the type of, I imagine, from a couple of R100 to the many, many thousands. What's the sort of range of the typical debit orders and who you do it for?
Gosh, we've got a very, very diverse, if you consider anybody out there whose subscription memberships has an invoice to collect on, most customers right now, whether it's small, and we talk about small, could be a little dance studio, gyms, schools, to your bigger businesses, which are really, when you look at rentals, I mean, property rentals, storage rentals, you even go as far as premium collection. I mean, those are big bases. Those are clients that need to control a lot more high volume, high value. So it depends. We've got so many different industries we're working. I was asked the other day how many industries, and we sat down as a team and just said, when you start looking at just over 200 industries, it starts to make a big difference. But ultimately comes back to one thing: who in business today is not collecting money?
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
Because I recall when we started the business coaching practice, it was, chasing bills monthly was a big part of the job and an admin burden. When I took your proposal and presented it to our partners, I had a lot of resistance. I was nervous of it as well, and the rest of the team were, no, our clients won't want to pay by automatic debit every month. We had a lot of resistance internally, but we actually found once we launched it, the majority of our clients loved the idea of automatic debits and automated payments, and you've obviously helped a lot of my clients in that space too. What is the main sort of fear that people, is that the main fear, or are there other areas that kind of stop people getting on board with and leveraging debit orders for their business?
It's a good question. Yeah, there is fear in the market because it's always someone's had an experience or bad experience. Debit order, ultimately, you're still in control as a debtor or a consumer, especially today. I mean, the banks have definitely sharpened up on a lot of the, call it the aspect of debiting an account with no authority. That's just doesn't, even if you see it today, it's a compliance issue. So we definitely follow the guidelines of compliance. We work closely with all the different regulators. I mean, the Reserve Bank is who we plug into. We've got regulators that we have to conform with. And so the responsibility we carry as a company to ensure that your cash flow is there, but more importantly, that you are compliant is a big area that we focus on. So we work close with business owners and we have to guide them on the processes. It's not as easy to get a facility. People think it's easy. It's more important that we simplify the process, we tick the boxes for you, and we find a way to help you. But we do guide you. We do regular checks, reviews with you. So we try and keep you on the straight and narrow. And I think that's what made a big difference when I left banking, was actually guiding the client and not just giving them a product.
Yep.
We guide them right through the process.
And tell me a bit about that balance, because that's something I've always found is, you're a tech company, a finance business, in that sort of sector. So your systems are, first world or first rate, but also you've got that lovely personal touch where I find my team and I, whenever there's an issue, we phone in the office, there's a human being that knows exactly what's happening in our business. And obviously I see behind the scenes what the team does to make sure that your clients are getting funded as per their agreements. How do you keep that balance between systems and human and kind of keeping efficient but the personal touch?
That's a really great question. Something that I've really, really enjoyed in what I do, and I'm absolutely passionate as I am today. You know, a lot of people say, well, surely you get to a point in business where you're bored of doing. No, every customer is unique. Every customer's needs are different, and everybody's challenge, issues, concerns are different.
Okay.
And we work closely with that. But to answer your question, I think the key there on the debit order is that we've been able to balance it more. We're very, very customer focused. We're customer orientated. We still have humans pick up the telephone and talk to you. Yes, we have systems. We have a full IT support company, and which is actually owned by us as well. So every bit of development, enhancement, and any technical, we have full access to our teams that are supporting.
Okay.
So our customer service side is probably a big core of our focus, and everything we drive is about customer. We talk to them, we are human, we understand, we empathize, and they trust us. So I think that's the important part, is you can automate a lot in business, you can systemize a lot, and we have done, and we've been very fortunate to take the business from bigger amounts of staff to smaller amounts of staff in areas like COVID, for example. But we've never, ever come back to say, actually, we've had to break down our service levels. We've kept that at a high level, and we're proud of that.
Okay. Yeah, and the IT, you mentioned the IT department. I'll come back to that just now when we talk about the growth of the business, because that's a key part, the IT and the compliance. So for me, obviously, debit orders are one way of collecting funds for a business, and that's all well and good when all well and good. But now when payments stop coming in, when debit orders are returned, give people a bit of advice around that. You know, if somebody is collecting by debit orders, the debit order is unpaid or stopped or what have you, what triggers, what's the next process there that people using you should be aware of?
I think a big benefit as a consumer, number one, is that you get the benefits of debit order, where you can streamline, not have to worry about or forget to pay. But the second part is that you're also ensuring that when there's a problem, data, and I say a problem, people have issues, and you want to get on top of that quickly. I see the challenge in business most of the time is we just haven't got to it. Or we don't want to really phone a client because we might have a relationship, we're playing golf with that client on Sunday. So it becomes not everybody is in the debt collection space, and nobody's an expert at phoning debtors. You have people out there, and I always say these are qualified people. They do it. There's less emotion, and that is the reason why our whole collection team, which have got legal backgrounds, most of them, and the key there is that we understand the rules and the regulations and what we can do. We treat people with the same respect, whether they're a good client or a bad. And when you pass on the emotional part in business to somebody who can do it because there's a role to play and a job to be done, we treat your debtor or your customer with the same respect as you would.
Okay, perfect. Because I've had that countless times over the years working with a business owner, that when I say, show me your age analysis or where's your debtors list, people say, well, what is that?
Yeah, for sure.
And aren't even sure how to pull an age analysis out of their bookkeeping software. And very often there's a team member that is responsible for chasing debtors that isn't. Because I find most entrepreneurs are out building amazing things and changing the world, and chasing debtors is just not something that the typical business owner is wired for. So having somebody like yourself or your team to do that is a great one. Absolutely. And then obviously you would take people through that process, help fix the debtors that can be fixed, and you go right through to the legal side where necessary, so people can use you to chase debts as far as you need them to. Right?
We like to tell our clients, Trevor, that we're an extension to their business. We tell them in advance, we're an extension to your business. Imagine you've got a full debt collection team and you have our support. The client doesn't always understand it. And I've found over the years, the more you involve teams like ourselves to help you and be the extension, the more serious your customer takes you. Okay. They know you're on top of it. They know you're going to get the call out. And the challenge in business today is that doesn't always get done faster and smarter. Okay. So the more you're on top of it, the quicker your cash flow moves.
Perfect. So I want to move on to your business, the overall growth of the business or the evolution of the business. But just before we move on from cash flow, there's sort of top 3 tips or top 3 suggestions that you'd like to leave people with around cash flow and getting the money in. And because obviously with with cash flow is positive, people sleep well at night. I find there's so many challenges in business. Anything can be fixed, but it's the cash flow that keeps people up at night, and cash flow that causes relationship damage and health damage is managing that sort of stuff. Any sort of top 3 tips you could suggest?
Top 3 tips. One of the things that I always ask the client, and because we do consult with clients, we do a free consult just to understand the business. Secondly, we try and understand who the players are. Is there a bank manager? Do you have a broker? Do you have a relationship with an accountant, a bookkeeper? Who are the key players if cash flow is such an important aspect? And generally what I find is businesses don't always have all those people at their hand.
So you assemble a team that's going to...
Correct. Okay. They're trying to be business owner, the marketer, the accountant. They're trying to do it all. And yes, when you start a business, absolutely. It's considered to be the norm. You've got to try and be everything to all. But if we come in as a team, we generally try and understand who are the key players, who do we work with, and let's take which part of those that is number one to get the current work processing automated, and then let's get onto the age analysis and see where the challenges are. Sometimes we actually find your processes in business, for example, and I'm talking from generally clients that are trying to do it all themselves, processes are incorrect. Your vetting process is not correct. Why are you giving credit? Or why are you paying in arrears? Why is it not in advance? It's a nature of service that you could. So we just have a look at all the different aspects, and we look at it and we just feedback, give suggestions, and most of the time I always say give us 3 months and let's see if we can try and turn the corner. And if we do, that's something that we're proud of when we show clients that actually there is a smarter way. So,
I love what you said there, because most business owners have this feeling that they need to be good at everything. And we know in reality nobody's good at everything. People that are good at marketing are possibly not good at systems. People good at finance are possibly not good at leadership, for instance. So there's many examples of that. So surround yourself with people that are good at the stuff you're not good at. You're not expected to be the gurus. Okay. Any other final point on cash flow?
I think one last tip, and that goes to where you and I have walked the journey, is we come across clients as well on the cash flow side, is just trying to understand that if the processes are there, the right people are around you, and you still find it may be your area that you want to keep control, you want to be in touch. And one of the things I had to learn in business was I'm the relationship with the client, I'm in touch with the client, but there's an emotion. So I find that's where coaches come in. We work closely with some of the business clients that we have, and they have coaches. And why? There's always got to be somebody you're accountable to. And I think that's made a big difference in many of the clients we work with.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that. So I want to talk a little bit about the business and how the evolution. Obviously, you've been going 35 years. I've been around for 14 of those years, so not even half the journey with you. So I think the main thing that was on my mind is, as a business coach, when we work with business owners, we use the definition of a successful business. We call it a commercial, profitable business that works without you. And a lot of people come to me and think, that sounds wonderful. Help me build a profitable business that works without me. I get other people that say, hell, that's impossible. Sounds great, but this business will never work without me. And so some people engage us as business coaches as a challenge to say, prove me wrong, prove that this business can work without me. Not everybody wants their business to work without them. So I'd like to talk about that a little bit and just see how you've walked that road. So let's go back 14 years. We met, I think, 7 people on the team back then.
We had 7 staff at the time.
Okay.
Yes.
Roughly sort of maybe how big was the business branches, sort of number of clients you were working with, just to get us some perspective?
We actually only had the Durban-based office, and I was based there, and the team were based there. We were only person out there in the field was myself, talking to clients, handling most of the questions.
You were the main marketing sales.
In actual fact, there was a big challenge in the business because we had to sort of sit down with a real great marketing team and our coach, and that was yourself at the time, to identify that I could no longer be the only brand. So there was a big focus to change that from those days to where the business is today. Yeah,
can't be working without you if you're the sole face of the business, bringing the leads and converting those leads.
For sure.
So 14 years ahead, how big is the business now? How many staff? What's the footprint?
Yeah, the business has got 23 staff. We've got clients nationally. We work with a group of attorneys nationally. And most of our customers have got branches, sub-accounts, so it just expands to a point where obviously clients' information is confidential. So most of the time, I always say the client business, when you look at the growth on a monthly basis, that's been a big part of our focus, is just trying to grow our customers' bases or their businesses, which means our business grows as well. So we don't run after new business all the time. We look after the existing clients as well. And that's been a really natural growth area and scaling. And that's been a big part. Learning from coaches like yourself has been a big part of the business growth.
So before we move on to a business working without you, let's start with profitable first, right? Because
Sure.
profitable for us is not just financial management, but it's marketing and sales and advertising, lead generation, repeat business, and stickability to make sure your clients stay with you a long time. What was the main driver of growing the business initially? What was the marketing plan, the marketing strategy outside of Debbie?
Big, good question. The marketing strategy when we first started the business, and I'd come out of a sales and marketing background, was really all about what I knew and what I'd sort of experienced in the corporate and banking environment. When we first set up the business, we launched at a huge sort of roadshow. We did a big launch there. And those days it was Gallagher Estate, Johannesburg. And we went along the lines of how corporate private banking would have done it.
Okay.
And I'd come out of that environment, so it was pretty straightforward. For us to be competing with banks, we had to go, not that we were seen to be competitors, but we most definitely needed to build up to that standard.
Okay.
And we've maintained that standard in that area from a marketing point of view, is always keeping above where the banks are. Look, their budgets are far greater, bigger businesses, a lot more people too. But we've definitely, from a marketing point of view, we made our focus the client. We ensured word of mouth, building our partnership relationships, building people that in the market were already using us and trusting us. And I think trust is one of our values in our business, trust and empathy, and that has been a big part of our business growth. So a majority of our business comes from the banks, our word of mouth customer relationships like our coach teams and a lot of our partners. And then ultimately it goes down to your web, your networking, website, social media and that. But I always say customers come from a referral, tend to sign up without even questioning. Why? Because it's a beautiful edification attached to that.
And referrals, do you actively request them and harvest them, or do they just come organically through the team?
They come through the team. We harvest them. I mean, we focus on a lot of every single referral's got an opportunity to turn very quickly. And we have a really great internally built CRM system, communicates with us all the time. It conveys information through to us all the time. So we don't ask you the same questions on our second discussion. We already know what you've said first time round. And we try and maintain what you're telling us. Because I remember a lot of our business is not just about collecting money, understanding the risks around money. Many people miss that point. And secondly, understanding the compliance, how you do it, why you do it, and what your reason is for collection. We need to understand that in business.
Because it's been wonderful watching over the years as the business has evolved and matured, the marketing has matured as well. Yeah, obviously every couple of years a new website, as the website modernized, as well as the technology platform of the business, the rebranding and then revisions to the brand over time. But I recall when we first were meeting together, I know networking was one of the topic. And I've seen it over the years. And when I launched the business, I'd restarted the company in Durban. I knew maybe 3 people in Durban. I hadn't lived here since I was 7 years old. So networking was a great way for me to get out and actually build a database and meet people, connections in Durban. And you were quite famous as being great at having seeded many networking groups, and a great one off that. Maybe just what I'm seeing lately, the reason I wanted to touch on that is it's kind of been a forgotten marketing strategy lately. I think, yes, digital marketing is amazing, and there's some amazing things we can do online, but I'm finding a lot of business people are forgetting the value of meeting people face to face and passing on referrals and having that coffee, the physical handshake. Maybe just give me your thoughts on networking, how you approached it, and the value that added to your business.
Yeah, so a big one in those days, even in banking, when you mentioned to your teams in banking that you were going to go and do networking, it was seen to be you were going to loaf or just going to go and play golf.
Free cup of coffee,
Yeah,
of
so
golf.
that was a very different thinking those days. But one of my key areas, and I had responsibility when I was in the corporate world to have targets and have to achieve those, was to network. So yes, so building a network, I often say to business owners, it's not really about relying on people to give you business it's about you building your network. So it's what I refer back to our teams as in, it's not what you know or who you know, it's who knows you. And I think that's been a big, big plus in that we've changed our model of our marketing. So we do still network. We're still out there. We do it much smarter than we used to. So we don't network for breakfast or the gift bags and all those good things. We get out there and we walk back into office with 2 or 3 really good contacts, and we mine those. And we really try and find out who those people are or ask for the right people. I mean, there's been Business Network International, a lot of these different networks. There's many. Women in Finance, KZN Women. You've got Joburg Chambers. You've got the Cape Town. You've got many of the networks. And I encourage business owners, build your network first before you start relying on people to refer to you.
Yeah. I always notice that with yourself, because you watch different people network and refer in different ways. Some people have that sort of scattergun, arrive at an event, give out 1,000 business cards, take away 1,000 business cards back to the office and probably do nothing with them. Whereas yourself, you've always sort of 2, 3 quality conversations, and even referrals you pass on to us, they're very considered. You always made sure and checked with the person in advance to make sure it's a good referral. Check with me if it's a good referral before you pass it on. So I think that targeted, very strategic approach to networking, I think, has always been a great way forward.
Absolutely. And it also, your customers see it, or your referral, when you pass on, there's a trust as well, there's a respect, and you sort of don't want to waste people's time. And we are very open with our clients as well. You know, if we're going to invite you to meet someone that we know, there's a trust as well. We sort of want your integrity. We want to understand that this is something you're looking for, not waste people's time. So it's what we would call a hot lead. And we treat that with the same. We ask for feedback. We want to know if it was a worthy one. Should we change it? Should we fix it? And Ryan, who's based out in our Cape Town office, I mean, he's the focus of most of our lead referrals now, partners. And we still do cold calls. And cold calls, many people say to me, cold calls doesn't work anymore. It's outdated. I've had people say it's can't believe you still do that. But yet, it's a big part of our business. Because people don't really want to come and tell you they've got a cash flow problem. They don't really want to say they've got bad debts. So they tend to not talk about it. And our engagement there is to say, well, let's show you if you're doing it all right, fantastic. But could we show you?
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
Yeah, cold calling is such a forgotten. And there's a good and bad cold calling.
Sure.
You know, I think back of our business in Dubai. Yeah, at one point we looked back at our top clients over the last sort of 8 years. At 1 or 6 years we went back, and we realized something like 70% of our top clients, we'd actually gone out, made an appointment, knocked on the door, phoned to make an appointment, traveled to the client. It was very targeted, and it worked.
Absolutely.
But it took time, a lot of contact to build the trust. But actually it's a strategy that works really well. So, profitable business. Let's talk about a business that can work without you. Was that always the goal if we go back 10, 20 years? Or did you see yourself being in the business forever? Did you see yourself leveraging yourself out of the business? What was the long-term goal?
Long-term goal? I'm very fortunate, in actual fact. My business partner when I left banking, who was a business partner, is now my husband. And I mean, we married 3 years, but we've been together for a long time in business. So I think it was tough on him in the beginning because, I mean, we were business partner. So everything I did, spoke about, sacrificed was all about business.
The business.
So not easy for those out there that are trying to do this in families, trying to manage with kids. But to answer your question, I think the goal up then, and I think I've worked with yourself and mentors around me, the goal was never actually to even think there. I couldn't think there at the time. It was about just walking the journey with him. He had a lot of experience in business. He's been in business a long time, and he guided and mentored me through the process. I was the call it the person who was learning more most of the time. And then we got to a point in the business where actually we started sitting down and saying, what's the succession plan? So we've gone through all the steps in coaching, as you would know, start as an entrepreneur and you work through all the systems and the people. And it was just about 2013, we sat down as a family, which we do every year, sit down as a family and we discuss what are the goals, what do you want to achieve, does it fit in with what we're doing, how's the business going, and as your children are moving through, they're moving into their own lives, we sat down yearly and we just started to see that actually now we need to identify, are the children going to be taking on the business, are they in the business, but are they wanting to be here, or actually is it just that they're just here for the stepping stones of their careers. 2013, we made a decision. In actual fact, we made a decision 2 years before that, and we had to hang back for a year because our teams weren't ready. So we were going to go and do 3 months overseas, and this was going to be a good test to find out if the children and the family, or not so much the family, but the team could actually sort of say, well, we could do this. We were, myself, I'm going to say first, I was probably more nervous than anybody else because it was like, well, how do you let go of the baby? This baby that you've been holding for so long, and could me. But what we realized is the business grew without us. And we came back to a bigger business, and we came back to things that had been smartly done. So we set the goal thereafter, and we've slowly, just year after year, and I'm saying every 2 years maybe, even if it depends on what the business requires. And we've just looked and focused more on growing our leadership team, our systems, the processes, improving in documenting manuals because we work with regulators. And then it got to a point where as we worked closer and closer with coaches like yourself, and we did things that the coaches were saying, we built succession plans, we started to invest more in our teams. And in the last 2 to 3 years since COVID, we've invested hugely in our leadership, taking them through programs, which you're the coach, and just seeing our leaders grow. And I mean, leaders come, leaders go, but ultimately it's always about you've got specialists and expertise in your business that you can't be everything to all. And we've allowed them and empowered them to really take on the reins. For me, that's been probably the most interesting, because you never think someone can do it better than you. And we're all business entrepreneurs in our own rights, but absolutely. But we're very proud that we work closely with yourself and our leaders, and we're just seeing great results. The business has grown beautifully over the years. When there's an issue, when there's a challenge, you bring it to the table. Every leader has a say. We're open to it. Everybody has an idea, a suggestion. So I think we regard our teams with the value that they really stand for, and we take them seriously. So it's not about myself. It's not about what we as a family want. We're all about team. There's opportunities in the teams. They prosper. They're building their own wealth, their own legacies, and we talk about that regularly. So I think, that's really been the growth of the business. We talk about vision with yourself. We build teams. We work with you every year. When we pull our teams together, we do team, but we always give them the opportunity to say, talk about yourself first, your growth. Where do you want to be? And then we talk about the business.
Brilliant. Yeah, 7 staff to 23 staff, 1 location, multiple branches. And I love that you touched on that. It's what's the personal goals, because it should always be what do each of us want first, then what does the business need to do to achieve that. So sticking with that idea of a profitable business that works without you, I like to call that a sellable business. Doesn't mean somebody wants to sell the business, but it means it's ready to sell, to scale, to franchise, to put into multiple locations. So when people come to us and say, I want a business that, if they like the idea of a business that can work without me, I always like to ask people what does work without you mean to you? Because obviously some people say to me, I just want to be able to work mornings only and have the afternoons free. I have other people that say, I hate being the MD. I want to do research and development. I want to be the marketing person. Other people say, I want to sell the business. I want to hand the business over to my kids. I want to travel the world and go sailing in Croatia for 2 years, or franchise, whatever it might be. So works without me is different. What nowadays, or where you're at now, what is the business working without you to a degree? What does that look like right now, and where's that going with the business?
What does it look like now is recently we made the decision in the business where myself and Elaine have decided to actually move province. So we actually live in St. Francis in the Eastern Cape. We're online with our team. So this online thing, which COVID sort of forced us all to think about, we've built dashboards now. I can manage the whole risk and compliance from that angle. We've got sales and marketers that are working online. And every aspect of the business is all about actually being able to manage it off-site or on-site. Majority of our teams enjoy the on-site. They like the camaraderie. We like this feeling together. But for us, it's being able to just step back and let the leaders run it. And the best way for us to do that was to go off-site, and then just to be able to view it from a completely different perspective on the dashboard. And it's working. It's been great since COVID. In actual fact, it's working. And every aspect of the business now is to just view where we can add value. My goal is any business, I always say any business is a saleable asset if you've built it correctly and it's smart. So that's definitely regulations, the change in our space of different aspects globally there's lots happening. There's lots of change. There's lots of different aspects of the payment industry changing. We report into big regulators. So I think from where we're sitting as a business goal, and myself and Elaine, is to hand it over to the next generation. We've built a great legacy, and our children are very blessed to be in a position where they can step in. They've both got the expertise to be able to take on, and they've been mentored by coaches like yourself as well, and they've been guided by many of our business relationships, clients, partners. So we're very proud of that. So number one goal is I'm not ready to let go. I enjoy the relationship part with our clients. I really believe people view us in a light that you've run a business, so you should understand what we're going through, and you're able to guide us. And for me, that I'd like to stay on that journey for as long as I can.
Brilliant, yeah. It's a moving province, as well as now spending half the year overseas and checking in with the team as you need, but having a leadership team that runs it for you. So just closing that one off, like we did with cash flow, top 2 or 3 tips for anybody that's sort of, because my hope was with you sharing your story that people can actually see, yes, it is possible to get a business working without me, to whatever degree is right for different people. Top 2 or 3 tips that you would give to anybody that thinks, is it actually possible that my business could work without me, but not sure how?
If anything, I was one that I didn't believe that the business couldn't work without me. I didn't believe that actually it needed to. I really viewed it as in I needed to be there, Elaine needed to be there. But I've viewed it differently. I think as we age in business and we mature, we start to realize that actually you can't be the magic forever. The younger generations are coming in. They've got different aspects, different views. They're doing things faster. They want things at at their fingertips, and they want quick, faster action as well. So I think we constantly look at the generations that are coming through. People is our biggest part of our asset in the business. So we honestly want to learn all the time. So we're watching, we have training processes, and we watch them, and they really bring value to the table. Yeah. So one of those tips I'd say, make sure you've got the right people. Definitely. A lot of people I speak to say, well, who's the right people? Sometimes you just got to test it and trial it. Sometimes it's not. Okay. But find the right people, the person that's got the right attitude, has got your heart, your business culture, the ethics. Those for me are far more important than the CV and the skills. Got it. Because we can teach so much more of that. And many of the teams that have come through have actually said they've learned far more than the experience they brought in or the skills they brought in or the certificates. So we'd like to say that would be number one. Second to that, I think building a business without you, I think you've got to really be passionate about what you do. You've really got to, as I am sitting here right now, I'm just as passionate as I was when I started in banking at 17 years of age. I'm still the same, and I enjoy what I do. I really, really do that, and I think most of our teams are the same. And then thirdly, if it's something that you're going to probably have to make a call, and many business owners ask me this, is you're going to need to sacrifice. You're going to need to sacrifice time with your family. You're going to have to sacrifice time that sometimes you don't get paid because your staff get paid first. There's so many different aspects in business that you've got to sacrifice, and you've got to sit down. And my goal when I first started was to write down everything I would not accept and then write down everything that was okay, I'm prepared to. And I've always gone back to that and said, actually, I've built it with the right understanding because I took what we did as our staff have in what we do, and I still stand for that today. We have a high standard, And we continue to talk about that.
Okay. That's stunning. I think I've got the best job in the world. I get to talk to business owners for a living, so I could keep chatting for ages, but I know we both have appointments to get to. So 2 or 3 just quick questions just to close off, Debbie. Why the name Three Peaks? Where did that come from?
The business was actually started by my husband now. He had 3 peaks. He had 3 divisions at the time, also in the financial service environment. And when he asked me to join, he had just closed one of the divisions for whatever reasons on a personal aspect. And he said, I'd like you to join the business and bring in your expertise on debit orders, because he saw the frustration I was going through in banking. He was a client of mine at the time. And he just said you could make far bigger difference in the market just watching what you do and everything you stand for.
So you replaced a missing peak. I didn't know
replaced
you made
a
up
peak.
the third.
Absolutely.
Right.
So that's where
Okay.
often we've spoken about it. Should we be changing that? No. There's just so much legacy and history behind it, and we're known for that name.
You read a lot, you learn a lot. Top book that comes to mind, business book or motivational book or something that you think back that really helped a lot?
Every book I read, I'm one of those old school. I like to read the actual book, open the book. I make lots of notes, I write down. I go back to some books. Book that stood out for me, and there's so many. I mean, I'm going back to years ago. The E-Myth was for me such an interesting book. I loved that book.
Yeah.
In actual fact, I encourage most people to look at that. I recently just read Simon Sinek again for a third time. Why? My reason for why.
Yeah.
I think for me that's been quite an important one, and I present many of the books that we read. We've got a full library in our offices. Our team are encouraged to read. Book that stands out for me right now today, which I've recently read, is really Story Brand, and a lot of the marketers are out there being certified, and I wanted to understand why, what the big thing is about. And we're actually on a journey right now in our marketing team where we're actually changing our whole strategy just to be more about the story. We've got years and years of history, and we're talking about story.
Nice. Okay. Role model. Does anybody come to mind?
Probably won't believe me, but over the years I've had many role models that I've worked closely with, and I always look at my clients and coaches and everybody that inspires you and why they do things differently, why they think differently. One of my and I get comments on this often, is I try and understand a business, anybody that I'm talking to. I try and understand why they think like they do. Why do they want to do it that way? I'm a real inquiring mind. I'm very curious. But the role model that stood out for me from a young age, and why I decided to be an entrepreneur those days in banking, which the banks actually, believe it or not, we go through, those days used to go through stringent leadership processes and courses and whatnot. And my final one before I made the decision to resign was I was a 9 out of 10 leadership, but to be in my own business. And that just reaffirmed it for me.
Okay.
So the model that inspired me to get on the journey was Lady Di at the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
because to me, she was always at her best. And it didn't matter who asked or what charity, there was always this opportunity to say, I'll be my best, I'll do my best.
It's positive.
So yeah, she's always inspired me.
Brilliant. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
And lastly, here's a cheeky one. If you had to write a book about yourself, an autobiography or telling your story, what would be the title of the book?
What comes to mind for me would be a book called What If? And the reason for that is because there's so many people you speak to today, and it's just these comments and things we throw around at the braai, and is what if I had done that, and what if? So to me, I'd write a book all about on the what ifs, because I've got so many people I speak to that I could say, you said what if and you did it, and what if but you didn't do it, or whatever. So I think that's I have written a book. I haven't published it. To me it's a different book.
Okay.
But a book in business, what if.
I look forward to reading it. But thanks so much for your time this morning, Debbie. It's been great chatting.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Trevor, and it's always a pleasure to work with you as a coach. And I know there's a whole lot of coaches out there, but we've always just found that the synergy between your marketing thinking and your just relaxed approach, I think, has been a really important one for us as a team. Our team enjoy working with you. Our leaders are going through a really stringent process now, and we're getting some really great feedback. So well done to you as well.
Oh, thank you for that. I appreciate
It's been
that,
a pleasure.
Debbie.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for your time, and those of you watching in, thanks for making the time. I hope maybe some 1 or 2 ideas you can share. We're going to start doing a couple of these over the coming months. We're calling it our Clients and Partners interview series. So stay around or follow or like all the sort of advice you get nowadays, and hopefully we'll bring you some more great content. But Debbie, thank you so much. It's been great.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you very much to the team.
Thank you, team.